are you able to pay cash for a house? Hey guys, Tyler here with Bridgelight Properties, and today we're going to talk about buying houses for cash, what that really means, how we're able to do it as a company, and why that matters to you. So the first disclaimer I want to put out is paying cash for homes does not mean walking to the closing table with a giant paper bag full of cash in the full amount of the home. So that just simply isn't the case at all, and that's not what that means. So let's talk a little bit about buying homes for cash. So buying homes for cash, or a cash transaction, essentially just means no banks involved in the transaction whatsoever. So when there's no bank involved, there's no appraisals, there's no inspections, and there's no third party kind of guiding or changing the intent of the contract at all. So it just really means there's a lot of freedom where this is the price, and there's outside of the contract, there's no one else in the transaction that can alter it. So the second biggest question we get is, how are you able to buy homes for cash? And this is also a little bit of a disclaimer. So since we're not actually walking to the table with a brown paper bag, we use other forms of liquidity to pay for the home. So these are things like lines of credit on other assets. You're probably most familiar with a HELOC, or a home equity line of credit. This is where you use equity in your home or another property that you have to purchase another property. So the bank essentially recognizes you have a good chunk of equity. You're able to get that in the form of a line of credit, where it's essentially like a credit card where you can transfer that money into an account, write checks from it, and pay for the property that way. But if you just have that money sitting in a savings account, you can also use that. That's another form of paying cash. So you could just wire that money to a title office and close the transaction that way. You could also use things like partnerships or joint ventures, where someone else brings the money, you have another equitable interest, or you split the money with someone else. There's all kinds of creative ways to tie this up. But something we do, and how we're primarily able to pay cash for any number of homes, is through private money lenders. So a private money lender is essentially anyone that you have a relationship with, or that we've built relationships with, who they're comfortable with our track record. They know what we do, they know our business model, they have extra cash sitting aside. They're really not comfortable putting it into a volatile stock market like we're in right now. They'd rather purchase something tied to an asset like a home that they know will be doing the work too. We pay them a fixed rate of return on their investment, and we pay them back typically when we get the property fixed up, rented back out, and can then refinance and get traditional financing on the home. So this could be, your elderly folks who are in retirement. They are sitting on a good chunk of money and they just want to make a little return on that. So that's typically how we fund our purchases. So lastly, why does this even matter? Why do people boast about paying cash for your home? Why should this even be important to you at all? So if you've ever sold a home the traditional way on the MLS with a real estate agent, you know it's not a quick process. Typically, it's between 60 to 90 days from initially talking to a realtor to closing the transaction and getting a check. So someone paying cash for your home, you avoid that whole listing process, the showing process, and then once you have an accepted offer, then you would typically go into an inspection period, appraisals, and then underwriting with all kinds of different paperwork to get the deal closed. So paying cash, if someone offers you a specific amount, they give that to the title company. The title company asks, when do you want to close? We wire the funds, and it's simple as that. So typically this can happen in 1 to 2 weeks if title's clean and everything goes smoothly. So that's really the big important factor there, is if you want something done quickly. Also, if you have a house that's in a little rougher shape and might not pass all the bank's requirements on inspection or appraisal. So for example, we've bought a home before without running water in it, just due to plumbing lines being clogged. A bank will not lend on a home without running water, but we bought the home for cash, put new water lines in it, and then refinanced it back out once the home was inhabitable again. So that's just a quick example. But yeah, if you have any problem with the home that a bank might not finance, cash could be king in your situation. And lastly, like we touched on before, if you need to close in a unique circumstance or you want to find another property or a condo to downsize into before you want to close, we can go ahead and come to an agreement on price and terms, and you let us know when you're ready to close. And so that flexibility just isn't there when you're dealing with a bank, because they either want to close the deal or not. They don't really want to sit on it, where we have that flexibility being all cash. So I hope that was helpful for you. I hope you learned something about cash transactions and how they might benefit you. If you have any questions, give us a call here at Bridgelight Properties. Happy to talk to you about your situation and if cash might benefit you at all. So if this helped you, please like, subscribe, or share, and we'll catch you next time.